True indeed. I've been asked that a lot of times. Well, maybe by people who are not sure of themselves and they want to pick me to see why I'm so sure of myself and who I am and get the formula. I don't know what it is, but I've been asked many times, what makes you think you're God? That's been a question, a forceful question, or a powerful question, excuse me, that comes to me in power from people, that's questioning me. And again, like I said, I speak. I make sure I tell people not to believe me. I'm not into speaking and you just believing. I teach you things for you to go check out, maybe get your research on or whatever like that. Do your Google, your Siri, Alexa, whatever you do, to find out, if what I said was suitable for you. But it's not for that. Whether you find it to be fitting to you or not, I always tell people I speak for the children of the sun. My voice is genetically programmed or coded for certain people of the sun. And if other beings on this planet pick up on that's not of the sun, it will serve as a commanding voice, as an instructor, as your God, as your the image that you followed forever. Here he is, your ruler, your boss, however you want it. It'll serve as that to those people. But to the children of the sun, it'll serve as a calling and then a gathering, and it'll just fit, and they won't have to believe me. Things that I say, the topics that I speak, that comes out of nowhere that you don't know about until I speak about them, is like, wow, yep, that's right. Not many people tell me, man, that was funny, man, the way you said that, but yo, man, that was real. I gotta say, what you were saying is very interesting. That's all the time. That means they didn't say they believe me. They connected with what I said. And they like to keep watching and they like to keep following and listening. But I don't tell you to listen to me. Everybody else is wrong and I'm right. I don't want to imply that. If I'm speaking and it's getting to you enough for you to want to call in and question and debate me and tell me your friend ain't God, your man ain't all that, your man, then why did you listen? None of these dudes got out here makes me want to call and say, yo, God, you wrong about this, you wrong about that. Why would I want to give him my energy if I'm not the least bit interested in certain things that he said? I must be fond of what he said to give him my attention or my energy. I don't give none of them dudes my attention or my energy. I don't have a reason to. I have not heard anything that triggers me to want to say, yo, this person, that person, I want to listen to more of this person or that person. And if it is, it's a limited people. It's three to four people. I have to go outside of them to the philosophers who studied in Africa, who studied from wisdom, who took it from enlightenment, where they're calling Aristotle and Plato and all of these Nietzsche and whoever, Ascles or however they call them, these ancient philosophers. They did speak wisdom because they got it from men of the sun. They got it from soul beings. So the question has come up on me many times, what makes you think you God or whatever? It's because of how people view God. So I'll answer the question simply, so people can get it, of exactly what made me call myself God or why I think I'm God. God is all experiences to me, the God you learn. All right? So when you start off with God, you're way out of my realm. I had to learn this myself. I started off with the God figure. I was God. I was a God body. I was, a 5%er. We God by nature. Mind raised in Asia, and then I had to evaluate everything. My mind was raised in Asia. No, that's just a rhyme. That's just a rhyme. He on point though. God by nature. Nah, God by nature. God by nature. This God that we learn about or we know about, if we wanted to take it biblically by nature from heaven, it was a war in heaven. You can't find the word God without finding the word Satan, devil, or hellfire, or commandments that he gave you, or beings that were locked up in the garden naked and ran from him. And you can't find God without finding the devil. It just don't work. So I had to really, dig into the realm of this, and all along going through all of these schools of being a 5%er and certain papers getting pushed in my face when I was young and didn't know why. My uncle yelling at me, throwing books at me, saying, "Hey man, go read." And all the books he gave me was of Dr. York, deep, deep scriptures of Dr. York, before he even was writing the little Supreme Mathematic pamphlets. This was of the body and of pyramids and the science of tetrahedrons. I think it was before the science of tetrahedrons. Where before I swear by the time. These was some of scriptures that Doc was putting out. I didn't get it then, but I kept on to it. So it was handed to me that way naturally. My uncle had all kind of books on the shelves. I only read the Malcolm X book. It's the only one I only read an autobiography. I've never read a novel in my life. The one, oh no, that's a lie. That's not the truth. The novel that I read was called Tunnel Vision. I read one novel in my life, and I think it was in 6th grade. I read a book called Tunnel Vision about some little kid that hung himself with a tie. And I read that book from end to end. And I've never read another novel in my life, another novel at all. I never read a book like that. If it wasn't a biography or information or science or math or something like that, I wasn't, from an early age, I wasn't reading it. So I began this God thing of, the church, watching church people, watching people die under the name God, watching, God be in the court system, and God, you can put your hand on the Bible in court and swear. It says in the back of the judge, "In God we trust." You look on money, it says, "In God we trust," right there in the money system. And then you go to religion, you got God. And I said, wow, this God thing is covering a lot. Am I a God? Or do they mean the power of God? The power of being able to think and do what you want to do and all of that. So I had to get into a whole 30-year search of teachers and things of that nature, reading, geography, studying globes, maps. I even used to have my children at young ages, they'll tell you this, they would have to pick out a word 10 words a day in a dictionary and write them out, and then write the meaning out and study the meaning. Every single day, 10 different words. Sometimes I would blindfold my children and walk them up to the globe or to a map. And after having studied with them the terrain and the geo of the planet, I would be like, which side, point to India, point to Africa, point to and they would do it rhythmically because they had to grow up with maps and stuff like that in their room. In front of you today, you see my globe, telescopes, official anatomy books to go into, and then again I show you eyes, but not one. When you're looking at eyes, it gives you the feeling that someone's talking to you, that you're being communicated to other than the picture. So I went through so much stuff. Buddhist teachers, going to temples, being given certain books that I can go in for hours and read. Not books, excuse me, Vedas that I can go in and read. I did this for years. I had the world's greatest teachers, my cousin Khalik, my cousin Morpheus, Curtis Haynes, my Buddhist teacher, and my great, great teacher, Sheikh Muhammad, and who I miss dearly, who really took me to the levels that I am today, and a lot of him speaks through me. Assalamu alaikum salam. That's the man who taught me how to say my Fatiha in Arabic and things of that nature, and taught me different languages, and was on his way to teaching me what I now had to teach myself, the atomic structure down to its molecular, and everything under the sun he told me I needed to know to even qualify as God. You have to be able to touch on so many different topics and subjects, and if you begin speaking, people are going to ask you questions, people are going to doubt you. You have to have certain answers that will make you special from everyone else to be able to claim this seat, to go out anywhere and teach anybody anything. And then you still have to remain and calm and know how to teach. So after maybe 13 years of him teaching me, 15 years of him teaching me, he took, I think, another year or two to teach me how to teach. how to be patient, how to respect other people, how to not be anti, how to not teach like these other groups. So I had to learn from a global point of view. So what you see, I guess to your far left, is me dealing with the mind. The two heads is just telling you how I deal with the mind and my brain receives, and how I go through every structure of my head, with my brain, and to learn what stimulates it. How do I receive messages? How do I do this? What is this? What is that? And what I came up with was something totally different from an educational system. Circulatory system, arteries and veins of the head and face and neck, is what I had to really get into. And this is not what you see when you see your average anatomy chart. When I tell you, they show you the charts of the Bible, the body in the hospital, you see these charts, and the words are different. Everything is, the study is different. And you had to know these things. And if I was learning it in an educational way, it would have stunted what I really need to know. Education does not teach you the facts. Education, they're scientists, they're psychologists, they're doctors, they're anything you learn through an educational system where you went to a school, a university, is controlled, and it's a curriculum that's set in for you to already go and know. And now this scientist trusts that atoms make up matter. Or that the sun is 93 billion miles away from the earth. Or this is where the equator is. This is what you get standard that they set in a curriculum. So you come out of that, like I said, in your microscope is why you see in the middle, you see my microscopes. Meaning I deal with the atom, I deal with the atomic structure, and I deal with my blood. I deal with putting my own blood on a petri dish. I deal with my own sweat. I deal with knowing how to take my own sweat and putting it on a petri dish and looking and magnifying it. You'd be amazed the life that you see looking through a microscope and a telescope. I don't have my telescope here. I have parts of it here. But it's broken down right now. If you've never been in a microscope, how can you come to me and approach me about a book you read? Nigga, I'm an alchemist. I study life from a different point of view. Have you ever looked at your own blood under a microscope? Have you looked at your own saliva under a microscope? Have you done it yourself? Have you went out and bought microscopes and taught yourself? Just like you buy studio equipment or a game, instructions come with it. You can sit down and teach yourself. And you'll be amazed at how much you'll start challenging education. Wait a minute. Your standard teaching is this. Your standard teaching is, this is how many elements on the periodic table. But wait a minute, we discovered this. And y'all will start to understand what I mean about education, or educated people, or smart people. They're only smart in that box of what them niggers needed to know from a university or a college or an educational system, and not just niggas, all beings that go there and graduate and get graduations and get put in classes, and they prove to you that sometimes children are too smart to have to skip class. This child can't be here. So you hear that your child has been skipped up a grade. That work was too much. How long do you think that's been going on? They're not going to skip. They all probably was too fast, but they can't sit there and skip them all. So they stunt your child's growth with education, and they're educated for this particular system, not to know the truth of anything. To know the truth, to go out and serve this system. Be their scientists, and the presidents, nobody don't do nothing without their scientists. They don't do nothing without their physiologists, their physicists, their astrologists. They can't move without that. Without that microscope you see in front of me, how you going to dominate now what's on the far right, the globe? How you going to dominate the planet? You have to visually wake up and see all of this every day. I visually wake up, and behind the microscopes will be plant life. soil, dirt, from the dust of the earth. You have to live earth. You have to know your mind, your brain. You have to know why you say you receive information. You have to know, you have to have been under a microscope. You have to own microscopes. You have to view the world. You don't have to travel the goddamn world. When you sit down with maps and globes in front of you and let the sun into your room, you go all over. You go all over. And then right into that circulatory system, your arteries and your veins that's in your head and your face and your head. You learn that that sun, those rays, will go into the top of your cranium and just send you so much information. And you'll be like, let me try this, let me try that, let me try that. Nowadays, they call that an invention. Someone thought of something that nobody else thought of and invented it. They didn't invent shit. They got manifest a thought that they tapped in on and utilized that thought. And in came something new in the world, and now that man or woman matters. That's when your life matters. Black life don't matter for shit. Stop getting tricked with that. And then begging and looking at the state of you. How the hell your life matter? And every other verse come out your mouth is how under appreciated and how undertreated we are. All y'all people crazy. So what qualifies me to be in God is for your world. And then I'm going to take you away from God because I took myself away from God. And I'm going to explain that because it's one of their biggest magical tricks. It's that God word. Trust me. And I'm not trying to knock the vibration behind and the positivity of what God's supposed to mean. I'm not at all. That's what it's supposed to mean and what it really is. When you really look at God, he's a killer. You look at his son Jesus, he was a warrior. He told people in certain places in that Bible to sell your garment and pick up swords. We got a war. He called a woman in Matthew a devil. She said, I can't take bread from the children of Israel and cast it to dogs. He called the woman a dog, but you're getting preached to. So you're going to get preached what they want you to hear. But if you go into the Bible yourself, instead of waiting on Sunday for some ex-alcoholic, crackhead, fucking drunk, pedophile to read out of a Bible because he's dressed up now and he's been ordained and he's saying, let me get an amen, and brothers and sisters, he's a devil. That man that represents God is a devil. All the men that represent this God figure are devils. Look at the Catholic priest. Take a look at all of these pedophiles and fucking these little boys and all of this kind of stuff. Representing what word, y'all? God? Turn on CNN. Turn on look at what God is doing. Look at the shape of the world. Look at coronavirus. Look at all the other diseases on the news. Turn on the news for a few nights in a row and see how they scare the shit out of you about life. One nation under God, though. God is not doing a good job if y'all really want to be honest, man. And when you leave it to holding on to faith or he has a better plan and all that, you really into their magic. You really into their magic. So I had to have all kind of experiences of God. Once I studied what God meant and who was God and through religion. My family will tell you, I went through the 5% state, the Muslim state. I didn't miss, I think I went 7, 8 straight years making my salats, 5 a day. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, Rahmanir Rahim, Maliki, Yamadin, Ayaka Nabudu, Ayaka Nasta'im, Adina, Saratul, Mustaqim, Saratul Alaveen, and Amta Alayhim, Grail, Mekdubi Alayhim, Walasalim. Allah owns my heartbeat, Allah owns my pulse, Allah owns my breath. I went years saying that. That was my God, Allah. I was a Muslim. I raised my children Muslim. We ate right. A lot of it was well. But I got tired of worshiping. I was making my salah. I was smoking. Hold up, man. I got to go work. It wasn't genuine. I was doing it for the religion part of it. So I had to pull myself out of that. Then I had to experience Buddhism. Went right into Buddhism. Christianity, I was already studying. Then I went through all the denominations of Christianity. Too many to evangelists and all that, and too many to even announce. And I went to all kind of Mayan and ancient Anunnaki teachings for years, though, all through the Anunnaki text, the Atrasis, the Gilgamesh epics, the epics of Gilgamesh. I read a book called The Coming of Tam, which was great, about a man called Riley. I forgot his first name. He was abducted by aliens, and that book got me into wanting to read about outer dimensional things. And then I got online with an alien. I'm gonna leave that alone. That I learned from her. There are aliens online, yes, that you can learn from. And her information actually matched all my dinosaur information. And she spoke about how they brought the dinosaurs here. I went through satanic teachings. You know, I showed you that in my Apexx God Body channel. I had one of my best friends, like I said, is a Satanist. I know a whole crew of Satanists. And I had to be fearless. You know, now matching that with my street life, I mean, then at an early age, I traveled maybe about 30 to 40 different states in America alone, touring with one of my best friends, Modi, Kumo D. A lot of places with him with experience, and that's where I met a lot of celebrities and things like that, and why I know a lot of celebrities. And even to this day, wherever he's at, I can go backstage, and wherever he's playing, or any other of my other celebrity friends that's not even in rap, football players or whatever, I can go down to the Giant Stadium and get right in through the back, call my boy. I don't like to speak. A lot of people knew I grew up with Kumo, so that's not a secret. But since I'm online, I met other celebrities that I know follow me. I don't give them up, but a lot of people know Anita. You know, a lot of celebrities I knew for a long time, who big celebrities. But anyway, so I embraced God, right? Now this is where it's going to get heavy. Before that, I was a bad person, terrible. I mean, when I say terrible, I was terrible. I was in the streets. I was relentless. Didn't care about nothing. You know, I sold drugs, I robbed, you know, things of that nature. And grew up with a vicious friend who did a lot of things, who's not here now, did a lot of things, you know, reputation of killing and things like that. I had a god brother who got killed, reputation of killing. Now, I grew up with a vicious crew on 119th Street and 8th Avenue, learning, watching, being surrounded by so much death and murders, that it built me to the point where I had to stay on point. So everything I did was strong. So I never myself actually had to participate in killing anybody. It was just always all around me, but the reputation was always there. And I can say that with absolute truth coming out of my body. You know, no matter what someone near me did, we all have friends that's in jail or drug dealers or this, they're killers, but that don't mean you are. It's the environment we grew up in, and that person lives next door, which you may do not know him. I don't know what he goes out and do. I know what I go out and do. I can admit to what I go out and do. Man, I was a stick-up kid. I did sell drugs. I was arrested for selling drugs, making a sale to an undercover cop. I was arrested in Maryland a few times for home evasions, with cases where I was pulled over with, 5 or 6 guys, masks, duct tape, things like that in the car. Another case where I was, charged with a robbery of strong arming someone with a weapon. It's public information. So, like I said, I tried to make sure I stayed away from actually, taking a man or woman's life, although it was in my eyes. So because I was always on ready, when I did things, it was so vicious because I would have took the next step. But I learned that as long as you're not faking it, people are scared of my strength. They're scared of what they look in my eyes and know that I will do. So they didn't tempt me no more. So I didn't actually have to do things. And at the same time, multiplying around me, people doing bad things, and you get the reputation. But like I said, I can live a clean life, knowing that I've never partook in anything that had to do with actually taking anyone's life. I embraced the devil though. So let me tell you how close I got. I'm saying all that to get to this. once your practice is real, once you take the ritual and know that if called upon, you will do something, it will come out in your eyes. And I never was afraid to take the ritual to do the next thing. I was so curious that I wanted to learn Satanism. I wanted my friend to walk me through it, but I was fearless because I never felt it. I knew I was a child of the universe. I just felt that. I felt I was a bit better than this, but I felt no fear in going into learning it. And I embraced the dark side. I embraced Satan. I used his tactics. I put the soul of Satan in me to do certain things. And I would come out of it, and I would love it because it got things done, but it wasn't compatible with me. It wasn't actually me. So it was a guilt in between, or a feeling of uncomfortableness in between, like still search, because this ain't you. Go on and search. Go on and search. So as I started helping people, doing good things, even in robberies, I might look back at somebody and be like, here, man, go, take that back. It made me feel good, even though I did bad things on this side to the other two people. I started to realize maybe I'm two people. So I'm going to study this God thing. So if God had war in heaven, and God can give people commandments that if they don't go by these commandments, he has hellfires for them, then he himself can be bad. He's a stick-up kid. He'll do his creations wrong if they don't worship him. So I started asking myself, what kind of deity or being that will create the controller of the universe, the heavens and the earth and everything? He asking for worship? What would it do him? So I started putting myself in certain positions. I got children. I kind of want my children to be better than daddy. I don't want to never come into a room and my children are bowing down and they say, we worship you, Dad. I'll grab them and pull them up to me. You're worshiping me. Respect me, love me, hug me, recognize the good that I do, that I'm a good father, but get up off your knee. Don't ever worship me. So what kind of deity or being would want worship? And I watch people pray. No, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. I watch people come up and deteriorate and want crack and want cocaine and want to give you oral sex for it. And I said, what kind of world is this? How do in this house, how do we get these kind of drugs? Even through plant life, through botany, I'm trying to figure what is poison ivy growing for if I can touch it and it can hurt me? Why did somebody create me? And if I merely go a certain place on earth and get bit by a bee or a certain insect, I can die. An insect that I can just squash. But if that insect bites me, spider or whatever, I can just die. What's going on here? Why am I not inferior from an insect bite? So I'm looking at history, slavery, 400 years, a prediction of slavery in the Bible. There will be people lost. The children of Abraham will be lost in a land that's not their own for 400 years, and then a white man will come. He will enslave Indians, and he will conquer the Indians, and he will send them diseases and smallpox and take over their reservations, and he will go into Africa with boats from a place called America and kidnap kings and queens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of black African so-called people and bring them over here and whip them and rape their women. Wait a minute, 400 years? And God is on post? He's on post. This is his beings, right? Africans is gods, right? We the land. They were all life started in Africa, man. So, because I was out of religion, I wasn't scared to question. See, religion makes you scared to doubt God. They make you scared to advance on because they have a word called blasphemy set in place, and have a feeling to make you uncomfortable and not wanting around here because you went against the words of God, because you want to question God's plan, because every time you ask a deep question, they'll say, leave it alone, that's God's plan. I started knowing and trusting that God wasn't a good planner at all. And if there was a God at work, he's taking a lot of days off. Fast forward, coronavirus 2019. He took that year off. 2020, whatever it was, he took that year off. So I had to be this God. I had to be a judge, a jury, and an executioner, because that's what God is. And I had to have warriors around. I had to make sure I had a crew around to do my biddings for me. Young dudes that I can recruit and send here and send here. Why? I'm studying God. And when this devil got too, uppity in heaven, he called his angel Michael, and he had a crew in their ward. So God had a military. Not saying this, I'm reading the Bible now. I done read a couple of Qurans. When I was locked up in Maryland, I read a Quran, did a year reading the Quran. I think I did 2 separate year bids in Maryland. I didn't give my whole life away to prison, so this didn't come from prison. I did 2 separate county bids, never really been up north like that. Been arrested, I guess, dozens of times as a young dude, in and out the tombs, and you get arrested, and you do a month, 2, 3 months, you get bonded out, you got cases. I've been on probation for 5 years. I've been in the court system all my life. I don't think 5 years went by in my life. Definitely not 10 where I didn't catch a case. I had something to worry about under this white man's clutches, like he gonna lock me up. But I didn't wind up doing a lot of time. I don't have these upstate stories about I did 4 years and 5 years away from a woman. Nah, he ain't getting that from me. Anyway, I started questioning, and so because I was becoming God, I had to take on the characteristics of God. He's good and he's a killer. He's a creator. He's a jealous God. I said, wait a minute, he's a jealous God. Jealous. Let me look up the word jealous. I used the word, but let me really look it up. Look it up, Alexis. Look up the word jealous. So I looked that up. Started remembering all the Qurans, different Qurans that I read, from the Yusuf Ali, Pickthall, to the standard Bibles they give you in jail, Qurans they give you in jail. I remember reading the Septuagint, Latin Vulgate. Septuagint being the Greek Bible, Latin Vulgate, another type of Bible. John Wycliffe version of a Bible. Satanic Bible. I had read all of this stuff. And not to mention the geography that I was going through with my teacher, the landscaping and all of that kind of stuff. The astrology I was going through with him, and then religious different things. So I'm reaching and trying to touch every little topic on the planet Earth. And from botany on, from children of earth and farmery and all of that stuff. And I just said, a jealous God, jealous. And then he made a statement and said, thou shalt worship no other gods other than me. So this God, and then I read Job, where he was a perfect being. And then God, he didn't have no problem talking with the devil in Job. God and the devil had a conversation. God wasn't mad at the devil. They was just chilling. And I realized Lucifer, the devil, Satan, all 3 different beings. But then you have the Armin. But everything serves a purpose for the time that it needs to serve its purpose. So when I was Satan, it served its purpose for me to become God. So I was God first, I guess. Satan second again, young in my life. God again, and then Satan again. And then I came into a balance. I had to one day sit down and ask myself, at an age now that I am, why am I here? Right before Soul Future, I was doing this. Right after Apexx God Body, I said, where did I get this telepathical thought of Soul Future from? So before I went into this, I asked myself again, who the fuck are you, man? And then a voice answers, you don't know who you are? And then I got exalted. I can't go into that, but it's like how you sit down, talk to yourself, and you don't trust that this shit is real. But I got answered. I got the feeling, I got tested, I went out, learned some shit, came back and got somebody playing with me. Said, now how do you think you knew that? Show me where you studied that at. And I said, what the fuck did I just teach this white boy? I come back in the house, how the fuck did I know that? And they said, keep trusting in us and it won't go away. But it's now time for another level. And I was like, what level is that? He said, you gotta drop God. And they taught me all the information I needed to know on the God word, how it entered, what it does, and everything. And I placed it somewhere. And I came out of it with my soul and headed toward a new future. Thus, I gave you soul future. This is not God. This is not God body. This is not education. This is not me being smart. This is a collective of my life experience of being God. And in that, I'm telling you, I was the devil, because God is the devil. And in that, I was God, the good side that you want to trust. I was a sharer. I was a giver. Never reluctant to help anybody. I spared people. I always had mercy, even practicing Satanism. And then I learned that it was my mercy that brought me to the next level. To say you will be the perfect balanced being to share with people, and you won't treat them unfairly because you have been through all. You have been dirt. I have been, and I can't say, and I'm proud of myself, drugs, because I'm not a drug user. I've drunk some beer and smoked marijuana to that extent. That's it. I don't pop pills. I've never did none of that. But I have been low far as immorality and what I might have done to certain people and how I might have treated people and putting my hands on a woman on this earth and being broke with no money, robbing someone who may have been minding their business. I've lost my mother. I lost the grandparents that raised me. I lost my baby sister who had a heart attack in a supermarket. Everything I'm telling y'all is a 10 or 15 year span to it. My wife left me of 17 years. My children were all split up. I had no money at a certain time. My check died a year after my mother died. No, excuse me, a year before my mother died. Then my mother passed. Her mother passed a week later. My grandma, Gloria Benitez, my Spanish grandma. As a youth, I lost my best friend. I can go on, I can go on, I can go on, I can go on. And I embraced it. And I said, it's not going to stop happening. And someone called me and told me my other baby sister, she has cancer. My father died. My father passed. All these people passed out of my life, passed away. When my mother passed, I didn't know whether I could put anything back together. That's when I had more respect for a woman, I told y'all. Because I felt like nothing because a woman passed the earth. And that was my mother. And now, I came to another all-time low just within a year or two ago, when I was going to go back, even as a soul future, even as Apexxology 1. My Sheikh named me Elias Elijah something, and he told me that I war, or you wrestle with your Elohim. You doubt a lot and you wrestle with your hierarchy. And I have to admit that. And I got a phone call telling me that my nephew passed. Heart of my life. Who had just came, then they brought him into my life. He came to visit me. And I think a month later he's dead. Passed away. By these pills that they out here taking out of young kids. Fentanyl maybe in a pill or something like that. I don't know. I went backwards in didn't understand, and I asked to be Satan because I wanted to do harm now. I was so messed up about it. The anger was so built in me that I only could smile, I could only be kind. And today I'm at a loss. And it takes solar energy to not ask me, to not have me search again for my demonic powers that I have on my side, but not utilize them. Because I realized that you gotta help the earth, but not by putting dead bodies into the earth. You help the earth by curing it. I kept my warrior mental, but I was broken down, and I am broken down to a certain point of not understanding again, and knowing why my teacher, my greatest teacher, my Shek, called me. He told me, you war with your Elohim. And I began to curse the solar beings again. Why my nephew? Why not me? Why not me? Why not me? Why not me? Why this person? Why this? You gonna let me watch my mother die? You gonna let me watch my sister die? You gonna let me watch this? You gonna let me watch that? I get it. And when I breathed, used my stomach and breathed in and breathed out, I kicked it all back at the solar gods, at the solar deities. I said, come on with it, man. And I don't have a solar wife right now. And you're giving me a clown for a solar wife. And you're giving me a joke for the last 4 to 5 years, an on and off joke for a solar wife who finally exposed her demon in our last conversation. The demon of sex, demon of just wanting to be in control, not really wanting to love nothing, just not wanting what she loves out of place, but never really going to do it no good, and knew that. And stepped into my circle of me offering this woman true love, what was true, and was really ready to exalt this being that I named, and was getting ready. And this being I knew was strong enough to keep me in line. But this being happened to be a witch and a clown and a joker, and kept joking and joking and joking, instead of these women out here that's in a working world that know that Satan is their God, that check is their God, that job is their God, their mortgage is their God. Instead of being woman enough and saying, I won't have time to do this, so I shouldn't tell you I want what you want. I can't. I see your brochure. I can't do this because of what my time, but I'm selfish, so I'm gonna fake it. And in that person, those women that do that don't realize that this being that was serious really didn't have that time, that luxury. But I'm merciful, so that when I treat this being cold from here on in, I'm with my solar beings. I got a pass to do that because I can show that I was real. So the moral of this is, I went to these beings after my nephew and couldn't understand it no more. I was at a given, I said, just take me out, man. Go ahead, man. You're not going to sit me here with this bullshit ass misery and watching people stuff. I don't care, man. Take me, man. What the fuck? I don't control nothing anyway. It's all out of my control. No matter how intelligent you make me, how many times you manifest into me, and y'all still got, there's always another motherfucking test. And I'm looking at them a little bit nervous because I'm like, oh shit. Putting my head down, great. Lightning about to strike my ass, but I was ready. And I looked back up at my archetype himself, that deity, showed me a solar tear. And I looked up and said, what's going on? I said, I knew it. I knew it. I knew to follow you. I knew to claim you. I knew you. What you felt all along was me. I wrestled for you. A lot of them said you were too strong, that you would never get it, that you want this life, you want that life. And me and some others of a powerful, part of the universe that the other ones who didn't want you in, couldn't control, we said, no, he's special. Don't ever touch him. Let him go through what he go through, but watch he end up here, doing, moving, and saying the right thing. And me being relentless and fearless in front of my beings, they knew I was going to go back down on earth. Who the fuck would I fear here? There is no fear in me, no other man on this planet Earth. Nothing fears me. Nothing makes me upset. Nothing makes me scared. Because I've, to me, already cursed deity. I've cursed God. Man, fuck you. Take me out of here. I don't play these fucking games. I will never win. And that was the key. The key was my innocence. They didn't look at what I was saying. They looked at he's broken down, all the way down, to where he's literally on his hands and knees to us without being on his hands and knees. He's saying, do what you got to do. I'm powerless against it. And you know how strong you got to be to do that? Because you giving up everything. I had to premeditate. And my children might hear this for the first time. You're not going to threaten me with them children that you know I love so much. Fuck them too. Take me out this motherfucker before I be somebody's sucker. I can't be this. I can't live uncomfortable. I'm not going to keep searching, not knowing, begging for answers. What book I'm reading is right. Well, what the fuck is the deal, man? And then they gave it to me. Took me on a solar walk. Showed me everything. Showed me my nephew. Told me he's safe on Jupiter. Let me know my mother was all right. Took me everywhere. It replaced it all with a feeling of just knowing. And views that was in my head. It was like I took a quick pill and got it all. And they said, you have been exalted, my son. That's why we gave you Soul Future. I sent you that. I sent you that. Because what you just told us is you'll never try to be bigger than us. Your whole conversation, your whole argument was, y'all, I know y'all in control. Then take me then, man. Don't play with me then. Because I will never be able to beat who put me here. Thus, a child to their mother or father should never disrespect your mother or father. You should go back in life to the time you yelled at your mother and father and say, I'm sorry. She'll hear you. Bow to her. Until you people break down, I try to teach a certain woman to stop hiding, because if you keep going to this door, you women that put up these fucking walls, it's another wall, because you're not never living your life. You're feeling comfortable because you hid from life and you didn't get hurt. But you're in another skin. You're another person. You're another being. You're not comfortable. It's not you. So this is for fake people, man, who's living a fake life. All you women, oh, I was hurt, I was this and that. What you're saying is, so I have to be a fake person now. I have to put up a weave, a wall of this, my makeup, all of this has to go out in front, and I have to hide. And that's how they're going to end up living their lives. With tricks. You give them purity, they want to come in and trick you. Someone who you think you with comes around you trying to, instead of being direct and saying this is what it is, this is what we need. I think I'm with my wife and it's like being with a date, like this bitch trying to trick me to get her to go out. I mean, it was conniving. I came with gifts. I will never go backwards again. And I asked my solar deity, can that be my last time? They said yes. So there's no more going backwards for me. No being from my past, especially certain witches that was in my life that wasted my time, shouldn't even contact my family. Should steer stray away from me. Because I would never trust certain beings in my life, ever. They come with the biggest smile in the world. It would take that breakdown, because I can never deny the breakdown because it wasn't denied me. But I know I broke all the way down. I came ready to die. There was no what about my kids? Let me secure this. Let me secure. Take me out this motherfucker. Before I live here a sucker or not knowing. Because you're a sucker not to know. So now I know. So that's what qualifies me to being God. And then I drop God. Because God plays too many fucking games. God is too much of an up and down. So I became Apexxology 1. One way, one thought, one teaching, one dimension. To the second dimension, to the third, to the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. And keep ascending with the truth. And do not lie. And because I wanted information, I wanted to know, I wanted to share with the other beings in my vibration and be the one to wake them up because I have the experience. Because I wanted it, I got it. And now I teach topics that nobody can touch. And I put out a topic called Love is Love. And for some reason, the views are not moving on it. People are watching it. A couple of hundred people. And I know it for a fact. But when you're teaching like I'm teaching, I just got another solar tap. When you're teaching, that means you're doing everything right. Love is love. Damn near going to unite everybody. They got the Muslim world shook. Gods is calling me. Everything. Christians is calling me. From one little show that only got 40-something views, you think that's only 40-something views? I can't control what they snatch my views and what they do. But it lets me know that what's small is big. I'm proud of myself for not taking platforms. Any one of them niggas is trying to pay me for content. Send me something to talk about. If you're not solar, I can't. It's not for you, for me to transfer my solar tap. And again, I've been low in life. From no money to nothing, and I had it, and my soul stayed the same. That was the moral of that. To never using a drug, but low in other places. Low in, like I said, hitting a woman, being separated from my family, treating another woman bad that didn't deserve it. You understand what I'm saying? And then I kept getting blessed and blessed and blessed and blessed until they let me see that you can't care about money, and then we'll keep making sure you have everything you need. On a high level, on a nice level. But don't care about it. Don't care about waking up with nothing. And if you're doing good, show it. We don't care about that. It's not braggadocious. You're rich. You're rich God, inside and out. So when you have riches or you do have this paperly money and you want to flamboyant, buy all that garbage up. We don't charge you for that because we know who you are. You got your soul together, Apexx. So that's where you see me flaunting all that. That's how I release certain energies. Y'all used to thinking an intellect has to be in front of you perfect. I'm not perfect. But look to your left, look in the middle, look in the right, and look behind you. I cover life. I teach myself, and I don't need nobody education or nobody smart. I am not smart. I'm a dummy. I'm an uneducated dummy. I finished not even the 9th grade in education. I am not an educated person. I am a dummy. I'm stupid. I'm crazy. Y'all understand that? But when you look at life through another scope, you begin to understand the bigger picture. But you have to look at life through different scopes. Your own, your pineal, open your third eye, microscopes, telescopes, and understand what I'm teaching you here at Soul Future. You're not going to get this teaching nowhere. Trust me, the topics that I'm talking about, the content, y'all know it yourself, the people listening. You would have never even thought of shit like this. And you're telling me I'm not an alien? I know I'm an alien. I'm not from here. I escaped from outer space through a gate portal. I know that. And I came to Earth and I got guardian angels. I am not from this planet. I know it. And you feel that you're not from here. I truly escaped from outer space. And it was an open gate portal. And I stole an aircraft. And I came here. I dropped in as a seed. And I came in through Patricia Thomas. No, Patricia Patrick was her name before marriage. And Benitez before that. And I got raised by Henry and Alma Thomas, greatest grandparents in the world, and aunts and uncles. I got provided a family after my abandonment of my natural mother and father, who was not together to raise me. I never remember seeing my mother and father together. But I feel the love separately from each of them. But I had a host of uncles and aunts and grandparents that raised me. And other aunts that my mother's sister always was in my life. My other grandmother always was in my life. So I grew up with love. I understood love. But I grew up, me and my sister, who was from that set, And then my other sisters came and lived with us for a while, so we all grew up kind of together. And I'm not going to say I had a hard life. You don't get that here. I'm not going to say I had a hard life because my grandparents, my uncles and aunts worked hard to make sure me and my sister didn't have a hard life. We had everything we wanted. I always had everything I wanted. So I came out, sat down, breathed, and looked at my archetype and said, now what? He said, now you're good. You're exalted. I'm proud of you. He was speaking in my terms so I can get it right away. But he was touching my head, and there was something deeper going into me, and I was hearing other words. He was just saying, I'm proud of you. You are, he said, I want to say, he made a joke. He said, you are, well, I'm a good, he said he wanted to call me one of a kind, but he said, since he's such a good scout on talent like me, he said, there's a few more of you out here. And I said, who? And he said, you have to find them. Then, if y'all supposed to find each other, but y'all know the vibration. And I trust I found one or two. So I said, what now? He said, just go back, return. So I started learning how to go out, manifest. And he said, you don't have to do these solar taps no more. He said, you could just put in your brain what you want. And if we send it to you, we'll send it to you. If not, it's because we don't think if you're having trouble getting it, we don't want you to have it yet. But, you can go to the solar taps or you can just ask. You've been exalted. And I said, what to do? He said, just teach with the balance of who you are and don't be afraid to be who you are. He said, we use the devil a lot. We control him. We use that negative energy a lot and we don't abandon it. So forget about what the Bible or life says about negativity. He said, without negativity, positive people will go crazy. He said, trust that for that realm. For the realm you're on, he said, without negativity, even the positive people down there teaching will go crazy if they don't have their coffee or their cigarette or their sex or their whatever. He said you have to give intellects room because y'all still a part human. And people are going to judge you like you're supposed to be this, that, like you're never supposed to contact Satan or your negative side. Don't think of Satan as a being that you make a deal with. Anytime you do anything negative, that's what I'm speaking of. And you got these people through religion scared to do negative things. And I mean it. I'm not scared to do negative things. I know sometimes I have to make a bad decision to get back to the right path. Not going to surpass that in this realm. There's no sitting somewhere holy and so what? If you do that, right? What's going to happen with all the bad news you get? You want to ignore it because you just want to be holy? Then what are you doing with the positive that you do have? So when you assert your positive, that means you have to go out into the world. You think you're not going to meet negativity? And some of the negativity you might enjoy. But just don't overbuild a Sodom and Gomorrah. Just don't overbuild a Babylon. Don't even build one. And the things you do have to be morally too. Morally is key. Your bad things could be morally bad things. Don't go outside of a morality. Don't rape anybody. Don't kill anybody. Don't do anything like that. When somebody's turned their back, don't actually steal no one's paycheck. If you do, give it back in tenfold. If you had to, because things are going to be stolen from you. You're going to drop phones, lose phones. People ain't going to give it back. Some people are going to give it back. Sometimes somebody's going to drop something. Sometimes you're going to give it back. Sometimes you're not. You need it. There is no judgment here. It's balance. You can come back balanced, but don't let the negative balance be lower than the positive balance. You're not going to be charged for negative balance. It's the how or the order things were done. Yo, I killed somebody. Oh, you didn't hear that he knocked in my door and he was coming in after my child? That's why you killed him. It's not a negative balance. You understand? You didn't use negativity bad, but it was negative. All right, we're pulling up on our Apexx Solar 1. I do qualify to be God, but I'm solar. I left God. Apexx Solar 1 forever.